Assalamu alaikum class 6. How are you all? Hopefully you all are fine. Yesterday we done our reading of chapter 1 from the novel Nicobominas. Today we are going to read chapter 2. Nicobominas ran as fast as he could, across the lawn, down the path, around a hedge, and into a little shed, and bottled the door. "Open up," cried the man. And the hinges creaked and the door shook, and he banged it over his fists. The door was not going to last long, thought the Nicobominas to himself, and he dragged a large old stone ruler up against it. "Open the door at once." "Did you hear?" the man was shouting, but Nicobominas didn't hear anything at all. He was too amazed by what he had found. "You will have to come out eventually," the man was saying, "and the longer you leave it, the worse it will be for you." But he could have saved his breath. Nicobominas was on his knees examining what he had revealed when he moved the ruler. He brushed off the dust and undid the catch and then lifted it up. "Right, I'm going to break this door down," said the man. And then, because he knew he had to repair the door himself, he added, "Do you hear? There's a question in it." Poor Nicobominas didn't hear. Nicobominas had disappeared through the trap door he had discovered, and was running down stone steps that were slippery with slime and that smell of graveyard, and that went down and down deeper into the ground until it became pitch black. "Rosie," said Nicobominas to himself, "this is all your fault." He heard his heart pounding and his steps echoing along the dark, dank rock of the narrow passageway, until all at once there was nothing, and before he realized he was falling in the blackness, he was. Several thoughts flashed through his mind at the same time. The first was something wrong, the lines of "brother," only a bit ruder. The second was rather unkind, threw about the best friend who had instigated the whole expedition, and it involved her dangling over a snake bed, while numerous fierce dragons flew at her, chanting. How could you do it to him, poor Nicobominas? The third thought was, suppose it's a well, a deep, unused well, with slimy, slippery sides that you could never climb, and icy water at the bottom that. At this point, he discovered it was not a well. He made his discovery very suddenly and very painfully. "Oof," said Nicobominas, and he lay there in the pitch blackness with not a single breath left in his body. For what seemed like the whole winter, but was probably only a few seconds, he came to himself, in fact, just as stone hit him on the head. "Oof," said Nicobominas again, and then realized he could hear footsteps high above him. "Stop, sir," he called out. But the footsteps kept on the coming down. "Aha, I got you now," cried the man, "and I shall beat every bone in your body until it is black and..." Nicobominas supposed the man was going to say blue, but in fact, the next word he uttered sounded more like Bakhafa, ha, 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 hum. In the magical term, you can say agrambagura. It was not a word with which Nicopovinus was at all familiar, but he understood its meaning perfectly and moved smartly out of the way. Crash. Are you all right? He said. There was silence. Nicopovinus felt his way back in the pitch dark until his hand touched the man's leather jerkin. Do you know the meaning of jerkin? It's a sleeveless jacket. The man was laying as still as death, but he was breathing. I must get help, said Nicopovinus to himself, and he began groping around in the blackness to find another way out. When he found it, however, his heart sank. The only exit appeared to be a narrow gap down by the floor, no more than a foot high. I can't scare him through that in the pitch dark, he said to himself. But at that very moment, he heard Rosie's cheerful voice saying, "You can do it." Nicopovinus spun around, and there, to his immense surprise, was nothing. No Rosie, no anybody. But I don't know if it leads anywhere, he said to the voice in his head. And it's such a tight squeeze, I might get stuck. He didn't hear Rosie's voice again, but he knew what it would have said, and that was how he found himself wriggling down a narrow passage of stone in the pitch black. He screamed and he wriggled like in the black for a long time, and the tunnel got narrow until he could hardly inch along it. "I'm going back," he said to himself, but he didn't. He just kept wriggling and screaming until suddenly he found he could stand up. He took a pace forward and immediately fell over a stone step leading up. "Oh," he said, although what he really meant was, "Thank goodness." He began to climb, and he was still climbing some minutes later. It must be a tower, he thought, or the grandest house in the Venus, but at that very moment he saw a crack of light. He stretched out his hands and found himself touching a touch that clicked softly. In the dark, a panel suddenly slid open, and Nicopovinus stepped through into the most amazing room he hadn't ever seen. This is the end of the reading of chapter 2. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.